security guard down here at VIA telling me I can't drink out of a water fountain, use the vending machines, or walk in a public lobby. Now, she has threatened if I walk back there, she didn't specify what, but when I came in the door, there's a sign saying register, everyone register. How you doing, Officer Abbott? Are you the supervisor today? Okay, can you have a supervisor come down here? So Officer Abbott's arrived as her backup. I've asked him now also for a supervisor. Hopefully Sergeant Poole come down here. I'm sorry, Sergeant Poore. He's already been advised. He's been told by the administration. Again, you see the restricted area sign here that they put up after I insisted. Upstairs is restricted to employees and authorized personnel only. Down here, these areas are not. But this guard, just like she told me I couldn't walk on a public sidewalk, is now going to tell me I can't drink out of a public drinking fountain or use a public vending machine, that it's only for VIA employees when it's not. This is a public building. If that vending machine was inside of any of these doors here that say restricted, by all means, she is correct. But it's not. It's out and open for the public to use. And again, this is the problem that I keep going over with VIA. Like, if you want to restrict something, by all means, restrict it. They have. They've done the right things. Remember when I said this upstairs part should not be restricted? They have not posted the correct signs. They've now posted the correct signs stating it is a restricted area. I've always respected that. I gave them time to put up those signs. Actually came down here to follow up if they chose to follow those. And again, you'll notice the placement of their firearm signs, because this is public and that is private. They have those signs there restricting firearms in the restricted non-public areas. But you can bring a firearm into this lobby. This guard will probably tell you can't too. You guys, once again. Okay, Sergeant Martinez. Okay, thank you. Instead of standing here being tense and having hostile, glare backs, I'll ask you a couple questions. I understand if you don't want to answer, not a problem. You're aware that this part of the lobby is open to the public then, right? And you know that those signs only apply past those signs, that a person can have a firearm in here. Okay, because I don't want another guard coming up and saying, oh, we have a sign. I mean, this has happened. That's the reason I asked these questions. Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, I'm carrying right now, but I wanted to make sure that you're aware of that before I announce that to you. Otherwise, you're going to go, I have to arrest this guy when you don't need to and can't. So, and again, I wouldn't have announced that to you if I had any hostile intentions, because, there's no need. But I need to make sure that you understand we are in a public lobby. I have the right to film. Rachel Benavides has told you guys this. She sent you guys emails. This young lady told me I couldn't be on the sidewalk the other day. I don't like being told I can't be where I'm allowed to be. I don't like her blocking me. When I came in, I said, I'm waiting for you to take my temperature if that's what you need to do. That's what the sign says to check in. She didn't want to take my temperature. I said, okay, I'll go do what I want to do. And then she started physically getting in front of me. VIA's been good about doing the right things after I've notified them. The sign up here, the sign up here is recent. The restricted area sign, you know why that sign's there? Because I told them, you can't have these signs here unless you've restricted it to the public. These signs were illegal. I didn't push for you guys because technically I could have sued for $1,000 a day until you took them down. I said, you guys need to come and put up the right sign. If you guys want to say that's restricted, I'm going to respect that because I see these signs, I know the intent. But that doesn't change the fact that you got to put up the right signs. And again, as a rights activist, I do my homework, I do my research before I come anywhere. You guys, you know, because I'm in this area quite frequently. Most of you know me by face or by name now. I just came from downtown San Antonio. Bike patrol, they all understand what I'm doing. I'm not trying to give you guys grief, but when guards are misinformed, they need to be re-educated and it needs to be corrected. If it's a policy problem, like the signs need to be corrected. But telling someone they can't drink out of a public water fountain, she can look at all the signs around. All the signs down here, there are probably 23 signs down here that specifically state what is restricted. If they wanted that water fountain restricted, they'd have put a sign saying, hey, restricted beyond this point. They haven't, but the guard here is assuming authority. If she's been told that, fine, put up the sign. I mean, really, there's a reason I put up all these other signs. Recently, a lot of guards have been going around asking all the passengers if they're riding a bus. And I know what that stemmed from. That creates issues because it may be your policy to check every 15 minutes, but buses that arrive at 47-minute intervals or 60-minute intervals, these people who are waiting for the buses, they feel intimidated. I know because they contacted me. Came down here yesterday specifically because of that, because I noticed it on Friday, and he was telling me, man, they're checking everyone's if they're riding a bus. And I'm like, if you're not comfortable, you don't have to answer the question. But like I do, if someone says I'm not answering you, you can either ignore it or escalate. And like this young lady here, most guards choose to escalate instead of confirming whether or not they should do it. And so where I'm getting at on that is, yeah, you guys are needed here. We know the problems down here. You got drugs, you got sex acts going on in the bathrooms. Your jobs are needed down here. You protect this for the public, and we appreciate it. But at the same time, the other things that are not appreciated, asking people without reasonable articulable suspicion if they're catching the bus. Well, our policy is to make sure that if they're under the shelter, that they're riding the bus. That's acceptable. But again, at what point, when a person says, I don't have to answer you, and they're right, they don't. Unless you suspect them of loitering, then what is your reasonable articulable suspicion? I mean, just like the night was waiting to catch the one bus, and because I film all the time, you're like, he's just filming, but you were wrong. It's one of those things that, when the public says, hey, we just don't want our rights violated, we want to be treated the same way you guys expect to be treated, or the way that you would treat your parents. Some people don't treat their parents real well, so maybe I shouldn't phrase it that way. I apologize, my hearing's not good. Okay, yeah, I overheard the radio traffic, but so again, I see a live viewer. I'm down here at Via Centro Plaza 123 North Medina. One guard's telling me I can't go into areas here that are open to the public. She stayed not marked. Went over this with these guys before. If you want it restricted, then what you do at that point is that you put up the correct signs. These signs right here, restricted area signs. They weren't up here before, they're up here now. Ma'am, if that's your personal phone, I need to advise you that you're using it in a public manner, and I can FOIA request it. I'm just letting you know, do not delete the film off that footage. If so, you're violating federal law. Because right now I can get that film from VIA. So if you're using it for work, that's fine, but do not delete it because I will be requesting it from FOIA. Request. Yes, sir. Sergeant Martinez came into this building. This is an open public lobby. You're aware of that. You see the signs here that say where the restricted areas are. They're clearly marked. I'm the person who made sure you put up the clearly marked restricted signs. The sign right here is because of my activism. There's a reason for that. Wasn't there before. You have unlawful gun signs unless that sign's there. So I'm like, hey, make sure you get your signs up. I come through today, I'm doing a follow-up, and your guard is telling me I can't walk back by this water fountain. That water fountain is not a restricted area. It's open to the public. The soda machine is open to the public. She is insisting that it isn't. She insists that I can't walk over here. All these areas are open to the public, but your guards do not understand the concept of the public lobby versus the restricted area, even though look at how many signs are in this lobby saying this is restricted, behind this door is restricted. Those signs are there for a reason. It's very frustrating to rights activists like myself when we can articulate, no, it's not. Look at the sign. The sign is very clear about what is and what is not restricted. And you're telling me you're threatening me under the guise of trespass or a criminal offense for being in a public area. It's frustrating, especially for a person like me. I've been unlawfully arrested and I beat them in court. I'm not here to try to sue you guys. I'm not here to clown you guys. What I'm here to do is to make sure that just like before, if that area, if VIA wants to make it restricted, by all means, make it restricted, put up the signs. In the meantime, your guards should not be walking up to people inappropriately telling them, you can't be here, you can't do this, you can't film. They're not educated. That's why we do what we do most of the time, to educate and say, hey, this isn't illegal. We're allowed to be in here. This is a public lobby. It's for the public to view. So that's where the issue is. She insists I can't go back to the vending machine or the water fountain. I told her back then, contact the supervisor. At that point, I said, I'm going to walk over this way. And she said, no, you have to go wait by the door. So this is a public lobby. Come on, man. I mean, really, at what point? This is the same guard who told me I wasn't allowed to be on the sidewalk down here. Like, this is a public sidewalk. A lot of your officers do that, by the way. A lot of them. And I'm like, no, it's a public sidewalk. You're not going to tell me that. You may tell someone else that, but it's not going to happen with me because I know my rights and I'll pull out the GIS survey. And I mean, just like what I'm doing right now, I'll pull out the email from Rachel Benavides telling you guys I can film that video, that vending machine. But you guys already got that email. You know I'm allowed to film in all areas that are not restricted. And if it's not restricted, her telling me I can't go there is also telling me I can't film there. She's violating my constitutionally protected right. So after hearing me, if you want to talk to her, you guys decide if you want to continue on that path or if you just want to let me go film and I'll be out of here.
I understand your concerns, and I'll be honest with you, for right now, I don't know if that area is employees only or if it's open to the public, but I can get clarification.
Let's go look at it.
I got you.
Let's go look at it.
No, but since I don't know for sure if it's open to the public or not, for right now, until I get clarification on it, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go back there.
Okay, so at this point, you're backing her, and I understand that. You don't want to throw her under the bus, but you are also violating my rights by telling me I can't go into a public area because you do not know.
No, what I'm telling you is for right now, since I don't know for sure, until we get clarification, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to go back there. Because there's areas here that are for employees.
Can you go ahead and call Rachel Benavides at this time?
I'm sorry?
Can you contact Rachel Benavides at this time? She's your media person.
You can call her if you want to.
Well, you're the one who doesn't know. I know. I know. You're the one who doesn't. You're saying you don't know. So I'm asking you to contact someone in your administration so she can educate you and we can resolve this right now. Because if you told me I can't and I have to leave, at that point, what's going to happen is you guys later will come back and say, well, it wasn't, but now it is. We're going to put up these signs. I know how this works, trust me. I've had so many unlawful signs taken down across the city of San Antonio. After the city attorney had to take down their unlawful signs at 515 South Frio, the very next day, officers went back and went, oh, they took down these signs. We're going to put more up. They knew they were illegal. I called the city attorney. He said, no, I took them down yesterday. I was there. I said, I know you did. I know what time they were down. I know when they put them back up. But that's my point. If we don't get this clarified now, what'll happen is a sign's going to show up over there, and everyone will assume that someone authorized the sign to be there. The more proactive manner at this point is to contact media relations and ask them, hey, if this is open to the public and everything around here has been labeled restricted, was it just a mishap that we didn't label the drinking fountains restricted? It was not a mishap. They intentionally, let me look at every sign in here, even in the doors. They went way overboard on the signs to make sure no one can make a mistake on it. I mean, honestly, look at every single sign by every single door. VIA did their homework. They did. This is not a fluke that there's no sign over here. It was intentional. Your administration knows it, but I also know how cities cover up when, again, you're violating my rights here. Once they hear that, they go, well, now we have to cover up for it. So we're going to do this. And I'm like, just don't go there. Don't make it that big of an issue. Confirm it and say, okay, we were wrong. You can film. You can walk back there. We didn't know. No big deal. Now you know, and it doesn't happen again.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Your concern has been taken and it'll be looked into.
Okay, so at this point, Sergeant Martinez,
Yes, sir.
what you're telling me is, let's walk over here and look at this. Well, let's look at the wall. Yes. Okay, so you're telling me I can't even be here now?
No, I'm telling you, you can't go back there.
Well, I'm not. I'm coming back here to clearly film that there are no restricted areas. Now, this sign right here, very clear, says VIA employees and authorized personnel only, no weapons behind this point. Very clear, okay? No signs here
Right.
are reason for that. Now, you're saying, without a doubt in your mind at this point, 100%,
Yes.
it would be illegal for me to walk back there.
What I'm telling you is, I don't know for sure, so I want to get clarification on it. But for right now, since I don't know for sure, because there's areas here that are for employees only, but your concern has been.
And what I'm telling you is, if you don't know right now,
Okay.
then before telling me it's a crime for me to walk there,
Okay.
you need to find out if it's a crime for me to walk there.
find
You
out.
can't assume that it is.
Okay, I'll find out.
So at this point, what you're telling me is if I walk back there, you will charge me with a crime.
No, I'm telling you, you can't walk back there. That's what I'm telling you.
What would happen if I walk back here?
I think you already know what would happen if.
No, I don't. You're not being clear. You're
I'm
being
telling you,
ambiguous.
You can't walk back there, so.
Okay, and your guard also said I can't walk on sidewalks. You guys have told me I can't film.
I don't know anything about that.
Okay,
Just
but
telling
you
what
are
I'm
telling me I can't walk back there. What happens if I do walk back there? What would I be arrested
saying.
for?
I would ask you to leave the building. If you're not
Okay,
gonna-
so then you would criminally trespass me. For what reason?
No, I would ask you to leave the building. If you're not gonna do what we ask you to do, and
You can go ahead and answer that if you need to.
it's not a problem.
So again, you and I both know that the steps that you're working around here, it's inappropriate.
Okay.
You guys do this all the time. I mean, it is what you guys do.
And I understand your concern. If you want to call 362-2020, you can do that. Address your concern with customer concerns. It's my business card. It's got my badge number on it. And then I'm sure you already have Rachel Benavides' phone number. I got her business card if you need it too.
I don't need her business. I appreciate it. I've got
Yeah, no
her
problem.
number and I've got the email again.
Yeah, but we can definitely get clarification on it. So,
Okay, so I'm not walking past that corridor, which you told me
okay.
you'll arrest me or throw me out of the building if I do. But I am going to walk back down here, which I'm allowed to do,
Okay.
and film along here and also back along the side. But
Aside
again,
from that, do you have any business here? I'm just curious. Or you're just here video recording? That's it? Okay.
this is one of those questions officers always try to trip people up. And the best thing, again, is to ignore them. And again, you will notice every single restricted area is marked, clearly marked, via employees and authorized personnel only. But they can't come, that just can't go through their weak little minds that if that area was for via employees only, that would also be marked. But he says, I don't know if it is, so I assume it is, which is a fallacy in their logic. It's the same fallacy when they come up and ask people questions and demand answers and then don't understand why they won't do that. So again, let's go back over here. So past this area here, back in that area, you see that is restricted. You walk right up to it. Well, folks, I'm going to go ahead and get off the phone and get on the phone with VIA, because once again, their supervisors and staff here, they act in ways that are just not logical, but you don't expect them to be logical. It's typical tyranny and tyrant behavior when he knows exactly that what he's threatening me with is to arrest me for criminal trespass if I walk in an area where I'm allowed to walk in. He's threatening to remove me from the building if I walk in an area he does not want me to walk in. And again, that's his wants, not the rules, not policy, open public lobby. I have a right to be here, I have a right to record here, but they don't like it, so they're going to do whatever they can to stop that. And again, this is why, unfortunately, while I don't agree with suing public entities, this is why lawsuits have to occur sometimes. You know, I went out of my way with the gun signs to give them a break. They put up the right signs. Afterwards, restricting upstairs, I don't agree with it, but they did what they needed to do. It is for employees and authorized personnel only. But now, despite the 23 signs everywhere here saying, you can't come here unless you're an employee, they don't have those signs back here, but they say, well, you still can't come here because you're not an employee. We just don't like you. We don't think you have permission to be here. I mean, we understand they put up all these other signs, but for some reason, we just think they happened to forget to put up the signs by the public restroom and by the vending machine and by the drinking fountains. That's what we think. Well, Nick, you can call 210-362-2439. That's going to be dispatch. They'll tell you to call their 362-2020 number, which is a complaint line, which they never answer. So that's just the way it is. Hey, Lucky Laptop, good to see you guys stopped in. Just a heads up, so you know, I was doing a 2A audit earlier. I stopped down here, decided to check up on signs that they didn't have up that they needed to put up. They put them up, but now they're refusing to let me go back to the water fountain under threat of arrest or removal from the property, which is the same thing. It's insane. It really is. Again, this is via Metropolitan Transit Authority in San Antonio, Texas. These are the same guys that arrest people for being on sidewalks, and it's just the way it is. Sorry, last four for the dispatch was 2439. That is correct. And I know I don't have a big channel, so I know there's not going to be a call flood, and I don't even want a call flood. But again, the way that VIA responds to things is when they get enough attention. It's the same thing with the Abbott situation before. After 165,000 people saw that video and enough people called in, they went, yeah, you shouldn't be coming up and telling people they need to leave unless they're catching a bus while they're waiting to catch a bus. How about ask, are you here to catch a bus first? You know, so slowly policy does change. Slowly, other things change. But in this case, no, I can tell you flat out, I already know, I've been down this road with so many municipalities that they will try to cover their tracks at this point instead of just doing the right thing. Instead of saying, hey, we made a mistake, you could have gone back to the fountains. What they'll do is they'll come in here and they'll go, well, now we're going to put up signs that say it's restricted. There are no signs now. It's not restricted now. At the same time, if I walk back there, I've been threatened with bodily harm and arrest. And when I say bodily harm, I mean the officer will physically restrain me if I go back there. That is bodily harm. And arrest. Because while he won't say what he will arrest me for, he says he'll tell me to leave the building and use force to make me leave the building. So again, they just do not get it. In these situations like this, guys, don't push it. Don't, I've been to jail enough times, and you always win in the long run, and, they dismiss the charges, but they laugh about it because you sit in jail. You're right. Nothing happens to them. Absolutely nothing. And you get out of jail, you have to worry about your bail, whatever else. And you're right about that, about they don't care. And Lucky Laptop, I'm sorry if my channel's bigger than yours. I've been doing this a while. I don't do it for money, as you know. I appreciate all you guys coming. I support all you smaller auditors as well. Like I said, I appreciate you stopping by and watching. The real bottom line here, though, is that when you find tyranny, you have to stand up to it. The second that you back away from it, then you have an issue. And again, at this point, I'm pretty much chuckling about it because, I advise them. He keeps saying, I'm going to restrict you from going there because I don't know if it's illegal for you to go back there. He doesn't know if it's illegal for me to go back there, but he's going to restrict me from going back there. And I advised him to find out, but he refuses to do that. So, if he wants to stay here all day, when business closes, business closes. Is this an appropriate use of your time? No, he's not a corporal. He's a sergeant. It's Sergeant Daniel Martinez. And, he's been polite, as polite as you expect, officers to be in his situation. You can't throw Officer Alvarez there under the bus, even though he shouldn't. And you don't have to do it in a rude way. Just have to say, hey, yeah, you're right. He's right. If we want to restrict that, we put up the signs. But until we put up the signs, we stop doing this. But he won't do that. And this is what you get in the blue line movement all the time. You get officers who he knows he's wrong. He can't admit that, but that's just a fact. Hey, thanks, Lucky Laptop. I know you saw me on Road and Tow. Those guys spread the word on a lot of channels. So if you're trying to get your channel bigger, going to different groups like that will help out. And yes, you're right. You're right, Nick. Violating a person's rights is rude. They don't seem to get that. They always say, well, you're being rude to us. And I'm like, no, it's not being rude to someone telling them that you don't want your rights being violated. Now, again, one of the other issues, and I stress this, if this had been under different circumstances, and I raised my voice, protected First Amendment speech, etc., you're just giving them an excuse to find another reason to throw you out of a public building. And again, I could sit here and document this officer in the course of his duties all day long. I can also do that with this officer. It's a public area. I have the email. They have the email right in front of them. They have access to it. It was sent to every officer in VIA. And it is from Rachel Benavides that tells him, yes, he can record in any non-restricted areas in VIA. And again, that is not restricted. It's not posted as restricted. And an officer coming up and telling you, oh, well, I don't know, so we're going to make it restricted, is that officer making policy for VIA. And while Sergeant Martinez may be a great peace officer, he is not an administrator, and he is not a person who should be making policy for VIA. Neither is this guard over here. Again, when I tell people that, how many times have I had to tell guards when they tell me, you can't be on this sidewalk? I'm like, on those cases, I'll flat out tell them, they can, F off. There's absolutely no reason at that point, once you've told them multiple times that they have no authority over a sidewalk, that they insist it's Via's property and they will continue to do that. This all stems again from Via knowing that's a public sidewalk and people can walk on it, but them not wanting to give in to a lawsuit over an issue that they mishandled to start with. And it's just wrong. Everyone that they've ever arrested on that sidewalk that fought the case, it was dismissed. Plenty of people take plea deals. You're a fool if you do that. I understand why someone would take a plea deal. Hey, you're looking at a year in jail. Oh, it could be bad. Oh, they keep postponing trial. Just take the plea deal. But the fact is, when they arrest you on these public sidewalks and say you're on Via property, they are violating your rights. They don't get it. They've been told, we're not going to get you in trouble for it. We're going to back you up, just like he backed up this officer by saying, well, I don't know if it's approved, but we're going to tell him not to go there so that it ends the situation. And, it is what it is. You finished on this call, Sergeant Martinez? No, but that's what I'm asking. Are you finished here?
Do you have any other questions?
I don't have any questions for you. I was just waiting for you in case you decided to contact
If
someone.
you got any other questions?
No, I don't. Like I said, if you're finished, then I'm going to go ahead and leave.
Okay, let's go about our business.
Yeah, let's do that.
I'm sorry?
10 more minutes that they didn't do.
Okay. You don't have any other questions?
No, I don't. Now that we're out here, I'll end my live stream, or I'll just keep it running. I understand you can't. Well, there you go. They asked if you have any questions. He gets on his phone and just walks off. That's just your typical bullshit. So it is what it is. I'll go out to this public sidewalk right here and light a cigarette because it's public property and Via can suck a dick. The funny part about this, guys, is I'm carrying a gun right now. I actually have a gun, a knife, pepper spray, all that crap on me right now. And again, oh yeah, you're right, absolutely right. It's rude behavior and it's inappropriate, but this is what you expect from Via. And I've gone down this route so many times before. I don't care. I know the changes I can make. I've forced them to put up the right signs if they want to restrict areas. And I've told them this multiple times before. If you want to restrict an area, by all means, restrict it. Just put up the right legal signs to restrict it so that your officers aren't running around telling people, this is restricted. I feel this is restricted. I feel this is restricted. Because it's bullshit. And again, they do it under the threat of arrest or physical bodily harm. No, absolutely, you're correct. There's absolutely nothing wrong with carrying a firearm. And I'm only carrying a firearm today because I was doing a 2A audit at another place. I don't carry as often as I used to. But sorry, I'm trying to light a cigarette. It's windy out here, so. So guys, what do you want to bet tomorrow when I come by here? They're going to have a temporary restricted area signs back by those water fountains again. Willing to bet you it's going to happen. Because again, this is how cities and governments protect themselves from lawsuits. They go, oh, well, we told you you're not allowed back there. It was supposed to be restricted, but we just didn't put those signs up. Bullshit. Did you see how many restricted signs they had? And I've walked in those areas plenty of times before. I have videos of being back in those areas. But again, this is one guard being mad. She doesn't like me. She doesn't like the fact that I called her out about me not walking on the sidewalk. You notice her line? I don't know you. She used that exact same line yesterday. The exact same line yesterday when I confronted her. I don't know you. And I told her, I said, well, my name's Tori Reese. You know the email you got. Now you can put the name with the face. And on that email, it tells them he's allowed to film in all non-restricted areas. So, now she's mad. As you heard her when I walked in there, she's like, this is restricted. I'm like, no, it's not. Call your supervisor. And so I'll follow these guys down here. Actually, I can't do that because that's a bus shelter, and I can't be within 20 feet of a bus shelter smoking. That's a city ordinance, and I actually respect that ordinance. It's not the city's fault or anyone else's fault. I'm a dumbass and continue smoking. Well, folks, that's going to pretty much wrap that up. Sorry, I'm trying to catch up with SA 210's number of beatdown and arrests here at VIA, but they just won't help me out there. You see how carefully he treaded when I kept saying, "What are you going to do if I do walk back there?" You say it's illegal. Well, I'm not saying it's illegal. Then what are you going to do if I walk back there? I'm going to tell you to leave the building. Under what grounds does he have to tell me to leave the building? He does not have grounds to do that. He's violating my rights just by doing the same thing. Just he won't say it, but he's doing it. And again, that's what these guys do. Don't let them get under your skin, guys. If you're out here doing this for the right reason, you're going to get this probably 80% of the time. And, I used to get really pissed off about it, but now I know what the system is. I really do. I'm like, fuck you guys too. And Lucky Laptop, back when I was working in other environments, I always carried a gun. Now I don't really feel the need to, but more so I have other issues that go on in my life that make it a liability versus an asset. And so, that may change again one day. I doubt that. I'm deteriorating, and, it is what it is. But yeah, if you have a right to carry a firearm, by all means, do that. Just also know that when you carry a firearm, if you get trespassed, they'll up the charge for it. And it's a very risky thing to do that because what they do, they tell the magistrate, well, he was carrying a gun too. And the magistrate throws on terms and conditions saying you can't have weapons, other things like that. So, if you're auditing, I don't recommend that you carry. I just don't. And if you do, conceal carry. Don't open carry. Yeah, you're making a point, but it's not worth it. It really isn't. And that's just my opinion. If you're doing a 2A audit like I was earlier today, I went to the site, explained why I was there, showed the sign, showed I had a firearm. That was it. Didn't even mess with the guard. The guard knows he can't enforce the sign, and it's not the guard's fault. It's the city's fault for leaving the damn sign up. Smart move. Like I said, if you do audits, carrying a weapon is just not a wise move most of the time, unless you're doing a 2A audit. In that case, you have to have that. I've seen auditors actually use dummy weapons, practice weapons, for the same thing, because it does the same thing, but, if the cops go and grab your gun, you're out a $70 training pistol versus, however much you paid for your pistol. I'm not one of those guys who carries a, $1,000 pistol around. I'm also not a guy who's carrying around, what do they call them? The cheap $99 pistols, high points. And nothing against them. I fired a few. A friend of mine bought like 3 of them. And I'm like, yeah, there's no kick at all. You're right, dude. That's because the thing weighs a ton. It's not something I would ever carry. I mean, defeats the whole purpose. So either way, guys, I'm out of here. You guys have a great day. Be safe.